Alright, I'm going to talk about Suzuki Violin Book 1, The Happy Farmer. I'm going to play it through it once and then talk about some things. So the first thing I want to look at is the key signature. You'll notice there's one sharp, so an F sharp, which means that we are in the key of G major. You do want to be looking out for your second fingers as always, so let's go through what they are really quick. So on the E string, you have G natural, right? No sharp there, so that needs to be a squishy too, right? On the A string, you have C natural, okay, so that needs to be a squishy too. And then on the D string you have F sharp, because that is the one sharp in the key signature, so that needs a space there, or a stretch, depending how you think about it. Okay, so make sure you're watching out for those. There are a lot of squishy twos in this song, like in the second measure. Make sure those are really squished, otherwise it'll sound bad. Okay, next thing we want to look at is the rhythm. So we are starting off, first tricky thing, we're starting off with a pickup note. It's just one single solitary eighth note. Okay, so you might want to think of that as just T, instead of TT, just T, or think of it just as and, kind of leading to the next note. And one, something like that. Okay, and then you've got the dotted quarter note. Yikes, right? We've seen it before, but it's still a little tricky. It's worth 1.5 beats, right? Because the dot adds half of the original value of the note. So 1.5 beats. I think the easiest way to think about it in this song, just kind of as a shortcut, is to think of it like this. And 1.5, and 1.5, and 1.5, and 1. Something like that. If you actually think 1.5 to the beat, should help you hold it long enough. Okay, that's just our little trick. And 1.5, and 1.5, and 1. Something like that. Okay? So I would try it just to get that rhythm on an open string. Something like that. And 1.5, and 1.5, and 1. Okay? Now you will notice I was not just doing up, down, up, down, up, down. This has weird bowings in it too. Okay? So after you start up bow, right, and then the next note is down bow, then you have a hooked bow, and you know it's hooked because there's a slur and a dot on the eighth note. Okay, so I would practice that on an open string, definitely doing up, down, down, up, down, and you could just repeat it over again. Down, down, up, up. Let's try it a few times on A string. Ready, go. Up, down, down, up, down, something like that. Okay? Well, when you add the fingerings, then you also have string crossings to take into account, and it just gets super confusing for students. So I would even break it down further. When you add your fingers, I would actually put a little pause in between each one, just so you can think ahead about what bowing you're doing. So something like this. So that's up, down. Okay, the next one's got to be down, up. Okay, the next one has to be up, down. Okay, do you see what I'm doing there? I'm thinking ahead. This one's up, down. This one's down, up. Thinking about it in those pairs instead. Let me try it again. Up, down. Down, up. Up, down. Okay, and if you put that extra long pause in there, it gives you time to think ahead, and then you can eventually take those pauses out. couple different ways to practice it. I wouldn't skip either of them. Do the open string bowing all together. Do the separate bowing with the fingers. Try both, and then eventually put it all together. All right, the last thing is this song has quite a bit of eighth notes all strung together. So like in measure 3, all eighth notes, and that tends to scare people a little bit. Part of the problem is you have string crossings in there too. Okay, so if you need to, you can take it really slow and just pause in between each note to make sure that your next finger is prepared and that your bow is prepared on whatever string is coming next. So I'm preparing my bow in this case. Now preparing my bow and my finger. Bow and finger. Bow and finger. Okay, now it's important when you're practicing slow. I don't know if I did a very good job of this, but when you're practicing slow, you always want to maintain the proper rhythm as well. So let me demonstrate that again without talking in the middle. But the idea is there that in between each note you have time to really prepare and think ahead to the next note. And then you can eventually get it faster and faster and take out those little pauses. And before you know it, you'll have it. Okay? Hopefully that answers most of your questions. I'll play through with some of it again, but maybe not the whole thing, because you'll notice this is actually very repetitive. So once you get like the 2 phrases that there are, you pretty much have it. So I'm going to play just from the pickup to measure 11 to the end, slowly, in case you want to just try to follow along with me. Okay, pick up to the measure 11. Remember, it is the happy farmer. So as you work on this, try not to get too frustrated. Try to remember that it's supposed to be a happy sounding farmer and that you can have fun with this too. Okay? Have a great day.